offense experience has a level of time. The little spikes can take extra damage.
But he makes it
for free.
Wow.
I'll save anywhere for him.
Oh! Muffin! Wilson! Wilson! What are you doing? No! What are you doing?
No, still. Oh, Hellreach! Oh, Hellreach on saving him again!
Guys, I hope he remembers that top left keystone, because that's dash, that's huge.
Oh, he forgot it! He doesn't remember. Oh no!
Hello everyone, you've heard this spiel 100 times. Welcome back to the Ori 2018 Randomizer Tournament. We have, I think, 6 matches today, kind of spread out throughout the day. The first one is a singles match between Gecko and Brynhold, a 1-1 match. So that's what we have coming up. On commentary, my name is Grim, and I'm joined by Dedu. Hey, Dedu.
Hi, I'm so excited about this one. No idea who is going to win.
Me neither. I guess that's the benefit of the Swiss format is, in theory, the matches get closer and closer, although, to be honest, there are so many good players that, well, we've had a lot of close matches already. I hope this is one of them.
Yeah, this is already round 3, so this is the 3rd week we're doing this Swiss format.
Yeah, so do you want to briefly introduce one of the runners?
So Gecko is mainly a randomizer runner. He has done a couple all skills run, but like not too much. So he really loves rando, like a lot of us.
Yeah, it does. It'll be interesting. Brynhold is someone who we sort of talked about in previous matches. He's not like a stranger to Ori by any stretch, but he isn't, I guess, as actively involved, I should say, as a lot of other runners. He tends to just show up and sometimes perform sort of scarily well. So we will we will see what happens. We are going to get going pretty soon here, just making sure the runners are ready and everything. Do you have anything particular that you hope to see out of this match? Like any particular skill combination you think would be unique or anything like that?
I would really like early charge jump. Those hits are always fun because you can clear the areas, especially glades, like from the start without having to revisit later. So it's always nice to have it.
Yeah, I agree. I guess we could also get a bash grenade seed, get a lot of that verticality early. We will see. It's always kind of fun to predict the first pickup, especially because this is the first match of the day. So I'm going to predict that it is dash. We're going to get a jet seed.
Oh man, dash from the start.
Did you cover for me? I'll be back in one moment.
So yeah, it looks like both our runners are started. So yeah, let's see what the first pickup is going to be. Gecko spamming some Alt T, which shows the last pickup you got, but since they haven't gotten any pickup yet, it shows good luck at rando. And 5 XP, what a nice pickup to start off.
Alright, I'm back. What was the first pickup?
It was 5 XP, so you didn't miss much.
Okay, so it wasn't dash. Exactly. Oh, we got a skill, though. So we're,
Wall jump.
You know, at least we get wall interaction, dude. We aren't going to get, like, a seed where we have to just suffer through Blackroot with charge jump only or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. Having wall jump or like any kind of wall interaction from the start is always very nice.
Mm-hmm. It's nice too. There's a pattern that I've seen crop up pretty repeatedly where runners in a randomizer seed will end up heading into the wall jump area and you sort of go all the way down to wall jump before getting wall interaction. Not the case here. This is an interesting split though, right off the bat, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, we don't usually see it. Like he's going straight into BRB. He's even gonna watch the cutscene since he hasn't got a level yet.
Well, it's an interesting choice. Given that the first 2 pickups didn't give us any keystones, it was very likely that with wall jump, I was going to say it was pretty likely that we'd be going into Blackroot Burrows anyway, but those 2 pickups to the left are just so easy to check that most runners will check them regardless. especially because you might get something like Bash, which makes traversal in Blackroot a little bit easier. So Gecko on the left now slightly ahead of Brynhold because Gecko didn't check the three pickups that Brynhold did. But Brynhold is still going to be right on his heels and maybe gain a bit of time back with Bash.
Exactly, and he has a level, so he doesn't have to watch the cutscene, so that's going to gain him a little bit of time back.
Yeah. Skipping the cutscene going into Blackroot is an interesting case too. Like, you pretty much always do it, but in Randomizer specifically, it's very common to Alt-R and re-enter this area at least once, sometimes multiple times. So not skipping the cutscene is not as big a time loss as it might seem, because you gain a little bit of that time back.
Exactly. Since you don't get a slow zone when you're going back in.
Yeah, Gecko on the left just got bullied a little bit by the spider. With that, like, look at this Brynhold through, not only skipping the cutscene, but through some nice execution, has almost caught up to Gecko. He's gonna be, what, maybe 10 seconds behind or something like that? Almost got knocked off as well. And they got an energy cell for their trouble. Having 2 energy in Blackroot is nice as well. Gives you a little bit more freedom in making safety saves while still hopefully being able to skip the darkness cutscene.
Yeah, you always want to keep 1 energy to be able to skip the cutscene, like the darkness cutscene.
Do you generally go for the cutscene stack to do, or the regular cutscene skip?
So I go for the cutscene stack, except when I have dash, because I can get to the mapstone really fast if I have it.
That's a good point. Those 2 things I mentioned, of course, the cutscene skip versus the cutscene stack, are just slightly different ways to skip the cutscene, one of which gives you control back and is slightly faster if you do it properly. Not too different though. Gecko, since he went to Blackroot first, is still a little bit in the lead, so he'll be the first into the dash room, dropped his orb early, and successfully avoided death by laser. That jump is always kind of scary. Brynhold missed his cycle, meanwhile.
I'm pretty sure Gecko skipped the pickup at the top of BRB, which was a Spirit Flame upgrade, so it doesn't matter a lot, but he doesn't know. At least Brynhold knows and has got it. It's always nice to have it early.
Yeah, it is interesting that Gecko is choosing to skip a lot of these pickups. I mean, if they're nothing, then it doesn't matter, but in the early game, it's so crucial that you find not only skills, but some keystones, some mapstones, teleporters, like virtually everything. Even experience is almost always valuable. So it's very rare, if you have the ability to check these early pickups, to not do so.
Yeah, definitely. And they got their first keystone, but they sequence broke it, so that's not what they are meant to do. Like, if they find the second one, they can finally add into Glades.
That's a good point. So I guess with that keystone sequence broken, that means that either the remaining 2 pickups are both keystones, or we get a teleporter. Actually, you know what? Gecko has 3 energy cells. It seems pretty likely that he'll end up finding a 4th one. Oh, and my mistake. I didn't see the grotto teleporter. Thank you, Nance. My mistake.
Yeah, so that's what they're supposed to go into Grotto now.
It's kind of interesting that the grotto TP was the one that we found, and also Gecko almost has 4 energy to go through the energy door anyway.
Yeah, the Grotto TP opens up so much, like the entire lower Grotto, and you can even wall jump up into swamp and everything.
Yeah, it is interesting we have the mapstone. It's a pretty common play when you have the Blackroot teleporter, and our runners do have wall interaction, but we don't have a lot else as far as verticality or anything. I guess there's Bash. But Bash is, of course, contextual. I'm guessing that mapstone down in Grotto might end up mattering. There, Gecko on the left, by the way, is checking some of the stuff that he missed, so he didn't forget about these pickups or anything, just checking them in a slightly unorthodox way.
That was actually a really good way to check it. I mean, he didn't know he was about to find Bash, but at least he didn't forget about it.
Yeah, it is nice that he found Bash specifically. Means Gecko didn't have to climb up the platforms again. Brynhold now has sort of an early lead ahead of Gecko in Blackroot. Getting past this boulder is a sequence break in standard logic, since it requires doing a save anywhere trick, but thankfully Gecko also has an ability point. Brynhold also hasn't broken the boulder yet, which he can do using the Frankie. We'll see if he alters immediately or more likely drops back down to do this sequence break as well.
Yeah, it
Yep,
looks
there
like he's doing it.
This is a very common one to do, and as always, you make sure, rule number 1 of Randomizer, keep the Frankie alive pretty much always, unless you have Stomp or other combinations. So where do you go next? Remember, we have the Grotto Teleporter, which is going to lead to a lot more pickups in total. Brynhold looks like he wants to be thorough. So instead, he's going to kite the Frankie to the right, as if he's heading to the Frankie Walk door, but of course he's not going to go all the way there. Just check the experience orb.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting this play. I was expecting him to go straight into Grotto, since this pickup takes a long time to get. But it's in logic, so it's a good check to do.
It's also kind of a nice one-off. Like, going down to Grotto has a lot of pickups in total. Specifically, Gecko and Brynhold will be able to make a lot of progress towards the double jump tree if they find... Well, no, because they still only have 1 keystone, right?
Yeah, and they sequence broke it, so they are not
right.
supposed to have it.
So there might be 2 keystones along the way, thus allowing them to fully reach the double jump tree, or they might have to make sort of more circuitous kind of back and forth route. I don't know what they're going to find, but the point I was going to make is that Gecko's making the same play, by the way. If this pickup ends up being a valuable form of verticality, like double jump or charge jump or something like that, or grenade, since we already have bash, that would open up a huge amount down in Grotto. So it does make a lot of sense to check that before going to Grotto, even though in this case it didn't pay off.
And we see that Brynhold did a quick save anywhere to skip the bridge cutscene, and that allows him to check the water vein and the XP pickup right behind.
Got the
which
Grove
he wouldn't really
teleporter.
be able to get to.
So this is interesting. We now have 1 keystone, but it's sequence broken. There's the Grove teleporter, but that's sequence broken. So in terms of the next progression item, there's an extra double jump, but that doesn't matter without a base double jump. What's the map stone? It's a keystone. That's the first keystone that has been in logic so far.
Yeah, I wonder where they have to go now. Probably to double jump tree. I mean, actually no, they can't do that since they only have 1 keystone.
Yeah, so okay, there's the second keystone. So now 2 keystones are in logic. Brynhold, I'm guessing since he's down in Grotto, will decide to just continue being thorough. He's even going to take out this mini boss, which he can do faster than usual by redirecting its projectile with bash. Meanwhile, Gecko went pretty much an entirely different direction. He's going backwards through the Death Gauntlet. He even double bashed a spider shot to get to the 200 experience pickup near the Grotto teleporter. So Gecko's just being thorough in sort of the opposite direction, maybe looking for another keystone before dropping down into deeper Grotto land.
Yeah, I really like both of those play.
As always, neither one is more correct than the other. You just have to make sort of calculated plays. Gecko is going to go for a greater total number of items before heading down into this area, which is logical too, because to reiterate, Grotto has a lot of stuff that you need a fair number of abilities to check, and right now abilities are a little bit limited. Well,
yeah, and also I'm pretty sure Gecko is about to find his force energy, so we'll be able to open the 4 energy doors, which is really nice early game.
That's an interesting point. 4 energy is a very nice threshold to reach. It arguably matters more if there wasn't a different way to get into Grotto. Because if you have 4 energy and no other progression path, you can open up the 4 energy door and go through the Death Gauntlet, but we're already here. And in fact, the Gecko already did the Death Gauntlet in reverse. There's double jump from Brynhold.
That's awesome, and he has extra double jump too, so he has triple jump already, in fact.
You're right. I didn't even think about that. That's huge. It's kind of a big deal too. Like, pay attention to this split again. Brynhold went sort of the more direct path to head down into the right side of Grotto to reach the double jump tree and got some keystones for his trouble, along with the very, very valuable skill double jump. Gecko is still being thorough. This is an area that I wouldn't be surprised to see Brynhold check before too long, but Brynhold is going to have a much faster, easier time and be able to get to some pickups that without weird double bashes, Gecko's not going to be able to grab. That's a big death from Gecko.
Yeah, big death, and he had bash, so he could have just bashed the shot, but he maybe forgot. It's so easy to forget something, like one skill you have, and yeah.
At this point, I'm wondering, Brynhold, for his part, after reaching double jump, is going over into the sort of left glades area with bash and double jump. He'll be able to clear pretty much everything. Yeah, Gecko, I was wondering whether he was going to head back over to the left and repeat his work, but he decided not to. Did take another death, but that one is very, very light.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to take the minibus too.
This is smart for him. I mean, Brynhold now has a lot more at his disposal, so I'm guessing Brynhold will continue being thorough because it's still the early game. It makes a lot of sense to be thorough. Speaking of thoroughness, there's that pickup you said you wanted to do.
Yeah, double jump and charge jump is a great skill combination. So you can, but you have like control of what you do in the air after charge jumping, which is really nice.
Yeah. This is just a very nice start for Brynhold overall, largely due to that death by Gecko, but also the fact that Brynhold's path that he chose to travel down yielded a lot better results so far than Gecko's.
I mean, Gecko's routing wasn't really bad since Death Gauntlet could have been something, and then he would probably have been in the lead.
It's nice too that Brynhold has found a lot of keystones, given that for quite a long time there was only one keystone and it wasn't even in logic. And of course, once you get a keystone, you have it and you can use it. But as a runner, tracking what's in and out of logic can help lead you towards where progression most likely is, rather than forcing you to, you know, play through a big area and you missed some really important skill along the way. To bring up charge jump specifically, Gecko just died again and has to make his way back through the crusher, so that's not as costly, but another costly death for Gecko. To check in with Brynhold, because he found charge jump, he'll be able to specifically check one of the experience orbs next to the wall jump tree, one that is quite commonly skipped for lack of verticality. So, you know, Brynhold is going to be able to comfortably just pretty much clear this entire area in one pass through, which is not only efficient, but it feels good as a player. You can just cross it out of your mind entirely.
Yeah, for sure. And also Gecko just found double jump finally, so he's catching up a little on skills.
This is pretty fascinating. We're going to have almost simultaneous skill trees. Gecko just reached double jump on the left. Brynhold just reached wall jump on the right. So Brynhold has roughly a one tree advantage, and Brynhold should be getting his clue. Sunstone is in Valley. What does Sunstone being in Valley tell you? Does that have any implications for the seed?
They have bash, so it shouldn't be too hard to navigate as long as it is in the upper part. Should be accessible. And it could be grenade locked or stomp locked below, like in lower valley on their way to Forlorn. So it could be. It's very hard to know for now.
Yeah, we'll see.
They would need a couple more skills definitely if they want to check everything.
I agree. I was thinking the same. At this point, yeah, grenade would be huge. Not so much for verticality, since the runners already have charge jump, although you can get more verticality out of a chain of bash grenades. But just to make absolutely certain that if they have to delve like deep down into the Forlorn path or anything like that, they'll be able to full clear everything. I'm gonna just interrupt myself. Brynhold just found dash using charge jump to get through the roof. This is potentially very bad news for Gecko. The reason is that even though Gecko will probably and climb, okay, well, that's reasonable.
Oh,
yeah.
Gecko has checked that area already, so I doubt he will go back there like very soon.
That's exactly what I was thinking. The saving grace for Gecko might be, I mean, he might just go there anyway. We don't know. Or since Gecko has 4 energy, he might alt R and decide to, you know, head back into Grotto through the Death Gauntlet, and while on his way, check those pickups. I hope he does, because this is a relatively early dash find certainly the first runner to find it, and finding dash early, just the longer you have it, the longer you can gain the advantages of that speed and potentially pull further and further ahead of your opponent. And that magnifies the longer the match continues.
And to make it worse, Brynhold is breaking plants using C-Dash, which Gecko can't do yet.
Yeah, that's really, really big. Without the intended ways to break plants are using either grenade or charge flame. Without either one, you sort of have to keep a lot of plants in the back of your mind to potentially come back to later, which can be at best just sort of a mental strain, and at worst something that you forget about until very late. Yeah, this is
interesting
amazing,
that we see the. It's interesting that we see this check from Brynhold, but I guess he's looking for a couple more skills or keys to be able to rush trees more efficiently.
Yeah, he might also be searching for left side teleporters. I don't think we've gotten any yet, unless I missed something.
I'm pretty sure we didn't, so yeah, left side teleporters make seeds way faster. So it's always nice to have them.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Brynhold is still being thorough. Now we see him going through the coves area. Meanwhile, Gecko is going into Spirit Caverns. This is good because Spirit Caverns is the home of charge jump. Gecko will almost certainly be getting momentarily. Whether he decides to head back into the Death Gauntlet remains to be seen. But that'll be a very comforting pickup, probably, for Gecko to find. At least in terms of his movement. Maybe he doesn't feel so great that he found it maybe behind his opponent, but it's a wonderful skill to have in your possession nonetheless. I agree with you, by the way, Dadu. It's not wrong, but it's interesting that Brynhold is continuing to be so thorough when, with Bash, with Climb Charge Jump, with Wall Jump, with Dash, he can check, or he can reach, I should say, a large number of skill trees. Like almost all of them. Maybe not Charge Jump, that's about it. And even then you could probably Zombie Ori.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's heading towards Charge Flame Tree right now. Oh, never mind, he's going back.
Oh yeah,
That's
we
right
haven't
there.
even, gotten that yet, I forgot. Charge Jump is usually such an early tree. Let's check in with Gecko, though, who is making a rather bold play to go check the Glazer. It's only energy regen. If that had been like a dungeon key or something, that would have given him a lot as far as catching back up.
Or maybe Stomp or something, and which would mean access to the left side.
Well, Stomp is, as you know, Stomp is a special case. In this particular seed, I sincerely hope that Brynhold doesn't find it. The reason is that without Stomp, there's no Kuro kill plane, which can make your traversal through Valley quite a bit faster, especially if you're lucky enough to find both Glide and Wind Restored. But with Dash, you can do an easy rocket jump instead. Basically, Brynhold doesn't need Stomp since he has Climb Charge Jump, and even to get left side, he can just do the double bash trick on the Frankie, which is something I don't think he would have any issues with.
It looks like Gecko is heading back down to check the pickups he couldn't check earlier, which is a pretty nice play. Yeah, it could be something that he needs.
Yeah, Gecko still can't break blue plants though, and so heading down into Grotto, it's still pretty dense even if you ignore the blue plants. But well, Brynhold hasn't checked these things either because he didn't have dash when he came through here. But Gecko is just going to have to leave even more of these pickups behind. Even so, found his Gumon seal. May or may not matter. We'll see. We don't get nearly excited about the as excited about the Gumon seal as we do about the real dungeon keys.
Yeah, and he used up all this energy, so he can't use open the 4 energy door again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Brynhold, sort of as expected, is still continuing to be thorough, but he's sort of guiding his thoroughness towards trees, in this case towards swamp. He used a charge jump, charge dash trick to carry his charge jump state a little bit further. He's also going to jump into the water, abusing that, I think it's a mega health, to double bash this fish. And this would be a good time to point out something Brynhold told us. He does manual double bashes as opposed to the quote-unquote free double bashes that are allowed through a DLL change in the randomizer.
And we saw Gecko have a really nice time level up to open the 4 energy door.
Yeah, That's good usage. Also worth pointing out, and thanks to Nans for I missed this, so thank you, Nans. Brynhold had collected an extra double jump, but then died earlier on in Grotto and lost it. But now he's acquired it again. So Brynhold has triple jump. Gecko also has triple jump. Once both of them level up to the triple jump skill, they'll actually have. Yep. Well, they'll have quad jump, but that's not important. Gecko just found
And
something very important.
What a vein. Nice. So, do you think Brynhold will head back down there? Like before I get the clue? Probably not, right?
It's tricky. Brynhold has a lot to check before being forced to go back down there, so the water vein find is very, very valuable. I don't know if it is enough for me to not consider Brynhold still with a comfortable lead. Would you agree with that?
I mean, it depends if the water vein clue is clue at tree number 9 or at tree number 6. If it's at tree number 6, he has a lot of time to go get it. But like if it's tree number 9, he has to leave Ginzo for the end.
That's true. And we also don't know where the Sunstone. No, we do. It's in Valley. I forgot. So at least it's not in Ginzo or Misty or anything like that. It'll be in a relatively easy area. Or I guess I should say, like, well, I had a complex thought, and I think I'm just going to sort of abandon it. Brynhold made it to the Stomp Tree, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trees, one more, and he will get his second clue, which hopefully will be the Water Vein. Once he gets that Grotto clue, he'll probably go down to left Grotto, because that's a very dense area with a lot of plants and such, and in the process, he'll have enough energy. Hopefully, he'll find the Water Vein without too much trouble.
Yeah, we're about to find out what the next clue is.
It is... Yep, well, I mean, we knew the Water Vein was in Grotto, but the clue is the Water Vein, as opposed to the Gumon Seal. So yeah, now Brynhold has a choice. Do I search for the Water Vein right away, or do I rush trees and effectively just leave the Bash Tree and the Ginso Tree until later?
I'm pretty sure like a nice play would probably be to go into Ginzo and try to find the left side TP in there.
That's a good point. A lot of times when you're playing Randomizer, Brynhold continuing to be thorough, by the way. A lot of times when you're playing Randomizer, you sort of have a lot of choices that, you know, there's no objectively correct order in which to do them. Like if you got every single skill right at the beginning of the game, like you have to do everything, so you just sort of pick an order and go with it. But in this case, Brynhold has everything he needs to full clear Grotto. It's not like anything's grenade locked or anything like that. And so in the process, you're right that he might find a left side teleporter. I like that line of thinking. But it's not what Brynhold is doing. He made a save and reloaded in order to reset the Frankie, which he's going to take and do a double bash trick in order to use the Frankie to stomp the peg. This is one instance where you can't substitute climb, charge, jump for stomp. Oh god.
That Frankie was solo.
Yeah, Ori was solo too. Alright, well, Brynhold has stomped the peg. Meanwhile, Gecko over on the left is in the Ginso tree. Still can't break blue plants because he never found dash. Also doesn't have climb charge jump, so if Gecko decides to continue past the bash tree, excuse me, he won't be able to check a lot of things very easily. Well, I guess he can with bash, but it won't be as fast.
Dash doesn't save that much time in Ginzo, since it's like all vertical.
Yeah, and there aren't even any or very many opportunities to rocket jump. Like you can't charge dash towards the gamers in the second room, for example, so you can't abuse a rocket jump off of them. Brynhold, by the way, took a death on the right. He died. I missed exactly what killed him, but he's heading towards his fast stompless area, died and got sent back to the save that he intelligently created following his double bash trick. I'm glad he did make that save, because to do that trick again is a bit of a pain.
Yeah, it definitely is. And he's making a lot of progress on trees. Like he's definitely on tree rush mode now.
Well, I think he's just in full-on go mode now. I mean, except for dungeon key. Brynhold needs dungeon keys, but in terms of just reaching every single tree and finishing the game, he's in go mode, except arguably for reaching the charge jump tree, because he's going to have to do some trickery in the spike, the Dorito cave, as we usually call it, the spiky area before the charge jump tree. He's going to have to use charge jump and charge dashes to make it through if he wants to do that.
Actually, I really like this play from Bryn to head up in Valley, since we know the Sunstone is in there, so he could have found it on his way to the TP.
That's a good point, and something I didn't think about. Recall that the Kuro kill plane isn't active right now, so Brynhold had the ability to just rocket jump up top. Yeah, good awareness, and Brynhold is even going to make the play for the Sunstone right away. He can use climb charge jump to even check the fax cell, which is one that rarely gets checked. So one of these is probably going to be the Sunstone statistically. Gecko is continuing past the Bash Tree, by the way.
And there's Sunstone. Nice.
Okay, so at least that's a spot that not having climb charge jump isn't going to cost a Gecko. That's an area easily accessible by Gecko with his current skill set. Gecko will not be getting full rando today. I hope. So Nadu, we now know where the dungeon key. Brynhold knows that the water vein is grotto, and it'll only be a matter of time before he decides to make a trek back down there. What do you think Gecko's chances are at this point to catch back up to Brynhold's progress?
He needs to find something pretty big in the upper Ginso, which wasn't the case until the Kiduk room, until Kiduk room.
That's true.
Maybe Faza could do it, because we see Bryn doing glideless solo right now, which could be pretty hard.
Bryn has ultra defense though, and he has enough energy to do a handful of charge dashes, and he has quad jump, so this is not going to be easy like he's going to die to one hit. Just kidding, he's through.
Yeah, we can definitely see it's not the first time doing it. He's done it before.
Yep. Brand, he could use climb charge jump. He decided to bait a green Franki's projectile instead to break that floor. So yeah, that was probably the hardest thing that Brynhold had left to do in this seed, and he just nailed it first try. Good use of ultra defense and quad jump and charge dash. Just the whole cocktail of skills worked well in combination.
I didn't know what to expect from Bryn beforehand, since he doesn't really stream a lot or show what he's doing outside the tournaments. So, but now I'm scared. He could be a really tough opponent.
He's a spooky one. Bryn getting his charge jump tree out of the way, teleported back to Valley. Gecko, for his part, is still continuing in the Ginso tree. He's going to go up to the very top. Remember, we know where dash and climb is, but of course Gecko doesn't. And the other reason to continue through the Ginso tree like this is that Gecko still has to go into the swamp area to get the stomp tree. And when you finish the Ginso escape, it naturally drops you right into stomp. Brynhold just got the sorrow teleporter, by the way. It's not valuable anymore, but there it is. I guess it does mean that when Gecko gets over to this side of the map, if he goes into Misty first, then he might save himself a trip through the Spike Cave. I guess, how many pickups are there in the final escape for Gecko to find? There's one more pickup up top here in the left room. It's Grenade. Wow.
There's 7 pickups in the final escape, and he attempted to do core skip and missed it, which would have saved him from trying to get this pickup, shots back up to break the wall, since he doesn't have stomp to break it.
Yeah, that's right. I thought Gecko had already come to this room. I guess I wasn't. I was confused or something. Gecko missed his shots, and without stomp, you do have to go all the way back down to the bottom. Even with double bashing, this projectile, as you can see, just moves extremely slowly. So Gecko seems very committed to finishing out this final escape. I think we can ask him about it later, but the grenade pickup is very valuable to find, even though in this case, nothing valuable was grenade locked that we know of. Like, it's not going to be a detriment to Brynhold that he didn't find grenade.
Yeah, grenade doesn't really help him a lot right now, since he has a lot of... If he finds climb, he could have grenade jumps, which could be nice.
Getting grenade also does allow Gecko to break plants, which will be... From our perspective, we know that... I don't mean to sound, you know, too negative, but it is probably too little too late. Brynhold currently has every single tree except for Bash, and he's going back down into Grotto right now in order to check everything else as expected. He's pretty much going to go left side, so it'll take him another, you know, minute or whatever to get back down to where the water vein is, but it won't take him too much time. Also, yeah, Charge Flame was out of plant. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, and we didn't really see any like plant being something important yet. I guess maybe Charge Flame, but it's not that big of a pickup.
No, not when you already have everything that we have. Gecko made it through the Ginsu escape, by the way. Made it down into Swamp. Gecko is unfortunately going to be frozen, sort of in place for like 10 seconds or something. It's just a bug that occurs in this particular spot. It's a known bug. So he's not soft locked or anything. He's just going to have to, you know, stand there for a minute. Not a full minute, and like 10 seconds.
Grin searching for water vein and finding Gumons here. What a seed.
Yep, the water vein here will be, you know, the last or second to last thing that he checks. If you're going to come down into this vault area, it makes sense to check the ability cell, then the plant, maybe not in that order. And then you head back down and check the other two pickups. So Brynhold will be getting his water vein very shortly. I doubt he'll be checking any more pickups in Ginso at that point because he won't need them. He will have no problems making it through the final escape. He has enough health to survive everything he needs. Yep, there's the water vein. For good measure, got 139 experience as well.
Only Bash 3 left for him now. Should be pretty fast. He can skip pickups now.
So I kind of joked earlier that Gecko wasn't going to get fully randoed. I think I might have, you know, said that a little bit unfairly. Gecko has had some fortunate occurrences, like the fact that he found the water vein and got to the Bash tree quite a bit before Brynhold. But not finding Dash and not finding Climb, I think probably impacted Gecko's play quite a bit. We can't know for sure until we talk to him. But not having Climb Charge Jump means you don't get that Stomp substitute, which means reaching Light Grenade is harder. Not getting Dash loses you a lot of time constantly. Gecko did have the availability to do the same double bash trick that Brynhold did in order to reach left side, but just decided to be, you know, thorough on the right instead.
Yeah, I wonder where Stomp could be right now, since we saw it wasn't in Ginso, and we didn't find Valley TP yet, but we know that Solo TP is on the left side too.
It's an unfortunate situation in these kinds of seeds. There are very frequently a lot of pickups left. They just might be really crappy ones after a while. So Stomp could be in a lot of places. At this point, maybe Gecko finds it randomly. Brynhold almost certainly won't, since he's just going to be rushing to the end of the game. If Gecko finds it, it's, again, the sort of thing where it might almost... Well, it'll help him at the moment, but getting Stomp also reactivates the Kuro kill plane, which means he won't be able to rocket jump if he so chooses.
Yeah, and yeah, Bryn finally getting his last tree, so he's going to head back to Montoru now, since he has Sunstone and everything he needs.
Yeah, I want to draw attention. Gecko just tried a rather trick that I don't think works in that particular barricade. If you recall earlier, Brynhold, while he was in Swamp, did a trick where he did a charge jump and then effectively canceled it almost instantly with a charge dash, thus carrying his charge jump state and allowing him to break the floor even though he didn't technically stomp it. There's a similar trick you can do where if you charge jump and then bash straight down off of a grenade, you can break things below you, which doesn't really make any sense, but it works. But I don't think it works for that one. I might be wrong, but I don't think it does. That's what Gecko was attempting to do, though. So Gecko is, you know, certainly keeping up with the strats and everything.
Yeah, he's definitely up to date on strats. He's played a lot of Rando, so he knows a lot of tricks and sequence breaks.
Definitely does. Yeah, Brynhold just made it to Mount Horu. Already has the Sunstone, so he can just open the door. Do you think Brynhold is going to get a first try door warp?
I'll have to say yes. Because last time I said first try, it was first try.
Yes.
And it looks like it's got it. Nice.
Nice job by Brynhold. Are there any obstacles in the final escape? There's poison water, but Brynhold has ultra defense, a lot of health. He has bash and charge flame and charge dash to break walls easily. Yeah, Brynhold won't have any issues with this with his level of experience. I still think Gecko has played pretty well so far, made some different routing decisions, and definitely time loss from a handful of early deaths. But otherwise, Gecko has been thorough in a lot of ways that Brynhold actually wasn't. And it's just, if there was one thing that killed it, it was probably heading into Death Gauntlet early, because now Gecko hasn't gone back there with Charged Up yet.
Yeah, it looks like Gecko wanted to get into Valley using the same funky strat Brynhold did. But unfortunately, he got a level up, and that killed the funky, so he couldn't do it.
That's unlucky. Brynhold actually died in the final escape. He tried to do a charge jump to despawn Crow, doesn't have feather, so he had to use quad jump, and his positioning was just slightly off. He even damage boosted in the fire and tried to recover, but lost time. So Brynhold might be worried, of course. We know that he's very far ahead, but he might not know that. Also, something we didn't mention before, just a bit of trivia, I suppose. Brynhold told us that he was going to be hiding his SRL window. So he doesn't know that Gecko, or he probably doesn't know that Gecko hasn't finished yet. Even if he's confident in his play, he doesn't know for sure.
Oh, he gets up this time, but spawns Kuro again. Oh, nice, he made it.
Yeah. I don't think he would have made it without Dash, but with Dash at his disposal, made it through just fine. Brynhold doesn't have Grenade, and so he can't do a grenade jump. So he is out. Brynhold will be taking the victory and advancing from 1-1 to 2-1. What that means is that after this match, Brynhold only needs one more victory in order to advance to the brackets after all 5 rounds of Swiss.
That's a really nice thing to know, that like you have 2 matches left to get one more win, which is definitely doable. If you're confident enough.
It takes a lot of stress away to know you don't have to win every single match. Yeah, so GG to Brynhold. I don't know whether he's going to want to chat with us. That's always up to the runner, but we will see. Gecko, if he is watching SRL chat, will shortly be seeing the done message from Brynhold. Also, unfortunately, died on his way. That particular experience orb that Gecko's going for is a bit finicky. You have to sort of cancel your movement a little bit. You can't go straight up, I should say, or you will take damage, but corrected at that time. Also, no, is going to go for fast stompless. Cool.
Okay, that setup looks way better than the first one.
I think that shot was low, to be honest. We'll find out.
To me.
Yeah, so that shot's not going to work. Brynhold's final time, by the way, is 40-24, so just barely dodging the sub 40. Still a very solid time. I think Brynhold made sort of a lot of correct calls as far as deciding when to start skipping pickups and rushing trees instead. And when he got his clues for the Sunstone and the Water Vein, I think he chose well when to go searching for those things as opposed to continuing to rush trees.
Yeah, that shot from Gecko looked too low again. He doesn't have Stomp, so that's the only way he has to break the rocks right now.
So what does Gecko have left? Since he's just going left side, he naturally has to do the 3 left side trees. Well, 2 of them are trees, charge jump and climb, and the other one is a feather, but it's basically a tree. Gecko also still has to go to the light grenade area, but he doesn't have stomp and he doesn't have climb charge jump, so Gecko's going to have to do either a rather difficult double bashed version of the reverse Frankie walk or he's going to have to keep digging later on. We'll see which one he chooses.
Does charge jump bash grenade work on that floor to get down into lower BRB?
I want to say no, but this trick is new enough that I don't know for sure. So this is actually an instance where like someone in chat can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think it works for that floor though. Even though Gecko obviously is aware of the trick since he tried to use it early. Gecko also doesn't have Feather, just like Brynhold, so we don't know where Feather is. It's somewhere in the world. Searching for Feather can be tricky because it can be in so many more locations. Like Stomp is almost always somewhere on the right side of the map, just because standard logic expects you to have both Bash and Stomp before you break the peg that we did a double bash trick to get past, right? Feather doesn't really have that same restriction. It still has some restrictions, but not as many. So it can be in a lot more places. It could even be in Forlorn Ruins at this point. That might be bad. Gecko's trying to do a terror break. I don't think his save was high enough. It was. I stand corrected. Well, not GG, but nice job, Gecko.
Yeah, well done to him. Like getting the save up there without glide is pretty tricky.
And look at this, Gecko is even continuing to check more pickups in Sorrow. Maybe he just wanted a bit of XP or something to drop more safety. Maybe he's looking for, well, he could be searching for a number of things. To get that particular terror break without Feather is pretty tricky. But yeah, pulled it off just fine, and getting past that barricade was going to be one of the tough spots. Gecko can now rocket jump up again if he wants to, or maybe he'll realize in a moment and drop back down and do a rocket jump instead, because he's going to have to damage boost up here.
You got a level up and found an energy cell, which is really nice.
Oh,
needs it.
Yeah, he can't rocket jump. Disregard me. Gecko knows what he's doing. I don't.
Yeah, that's why he's climbing back up like this. You can still get through without dash, but it's much trickier than having it.
Look at this too. When Brynhold did his version of this trick, he was able to use charge jumps and dash. Gecko doesn't have dash, but he basically substituted that initial stretch of spikes by covering it with a bash grenade glide instead.
And he gets it first try.
Mm-hmm.
Very
that's
impressive.
that's a double first try from both runners. That's a double first try Dorito Cave traversal. Just getting bullied by everything here. That particular slime is not a nice slime. Ultra defense, I'm sure, very much helped in that traversal, but even with ultra defense, as you know, it's really easy to die there.
Yeah, some of those spikes do 5 damage, but he has ultra defense, so it's a little bit less.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's a charge jump out of the way. Gecko's going to ult R, and he has a few options at this point. He has to hit 3 trees left, since he's already been to bash. There's Light Grenade down in Lost Grove, and then there's Feather, and there's Light Grenade, Feather, and Climb.
Oh, and he didn't get the left side TP. He didn't step on the... He went straight into Sorrow after getting to the Kuro Rocks.
That's right. That's right. I didn't even think about that. In all skills, the pattern is always break the rocks and then go up to Sorrow, and so I kind of forgot that that he hadn't done that yet. So yeah, that's going to cost him some time to traverse all the way back over there.
I wonder what he's looking for now.
It's a good question. There's a lot of things that Gecko wants, but like Feather would be incredibly nice, but Feather is also the most useful in Sorrow, and Gecko's already done with Sorrow. And if he can make it through Sorrow showing the, skill that he did, Gecko will have no problem getting through Misty Woods or anything like that. He might be searching for... He can't be searching for the Sunstone, because we know it's not here, and he knows it's not here, it's in Valley. In terms of skills, he might be searching for Dash, or he might be searching for Climb or Stomp yet. Could be one of those.
It's probably a way down into into lower BRB to be able to get grenade tree.
Yeah, probably. It is possible. Remember that Frankie from way earlier in the scene next to the boulder? If you leave him alive, you can bait him over. And there's two ways you can bait him. You can bait him using dash under the crushers, or you can double bash him over the top. There's probably debate as for which one is easier. I find the dash version easier, for example. But I don't know how comfortable Gecko is with the double bashed version. But he's going back here anyway, so apparently he knows how to do it. Or he's just going to be thorough.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to be double bashing the Frankie up over the TP.
Yeah, this is not easy. This Frankie, I think, only has enough health to survive 4 bashes. So ideally, you do exactly what Gecko just did. You get him up here with exactly 2 bashes and not 3. And the reason you want to do it in 2 rather than 3 is that now you have 1 bash remaining where you can keep him alive in order to get him underneath some of these spikes coming up. And you'll see the spikes I mean in just a second. It's not these ones. It's the spikes down below.
That was so close. Yeah, you can only bash him 3 times. If you do bash him a 4th time, he dies.
So we're not out of the woods just yet. That's the hard part, but you also have to just be a little bit careful. Make sure he dodges those ones. Then there goes the floor. Gecko made that look pretty easy, but I think he actually executed that very well. It kind of sometimes looks like a bit of a slow trick, but you just have to execute it cleanly. And that's exactly what Gecko did. So that's a first try reverse Frankie walk and a first try spike cave in Sorrow. So Gecko, despite taking the loss in this race, has shown some very impressive tech, even showing knowledge of that, downward charge jump bash thing. That's very, very new tech.
He only has 2 points, so if we zombie Oris, he has no point left. Maybe he can try to get a level up right now to be able to skip the cutscene.
Yeah, I wonder if Gecko did that intentionally, knowing that he is as close to leveling up as he is, or maybe he's just hoping that he happens to find an ability cell. I'm guessing it's the first one. Like, he's very close to a level up.
Yeah, he's definitely going to have a point before having to skip the cutscene. And there it is, perfect.
Whew. That's correct me if I'm wrong, Didu, isn't that the longest cutscene in the game?
I believe it's one of the longest, like 70 seconds or something.
Yeah.
It takes forever when you have to watch it. And also he has quad jump now, I don't know if we mentioned it.
Yes, quad jump is very nice. By the way, Gecko made it to Light Grenade. He only has to do 2 trees left, although I think he's going to have to traverse back over there kind of from the Grove area rather than teleporting straight over. I do see Brynhold2 on deck, so I just want to verify with him, and then hopefully we can interview with Bryn in just a sec.
So yeah, he's going back into Valley now. Probably going to check a few more pickups and try to find Sunstone on his way too. Since he's still missing it. And he doesn't know if it's... At least now he has a grenade, but he could still be in Fax or something. But like, he doesn't know that.
Yeah, I'm glad it's not in Fax. Fax is the name of a cell that you always want to check with climb charge jump. Although, unfortunately, there's a really hard way to check it without climb charge jump. It's not there, so it's all fine, but it could be there in other seeds. Cool. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and pull in Brynhold, I think. Hey, Brynhold.
Hello.
Congrats on your victory, dude.
Thanks.
So talk to me about that seed. When did you decide to go into full go mode and stop skipping everything, or stop checking pickups? Excuse me.
I got some awesome skills pretty early, as you saw, and but I think I was low on HP still, so I did some random pickups for a while. And then I don't really remember exactly when, but about 20 minutes in maybe.
Sure.
I started going for trees more.
I also just want to ask about, maybe 2/3 of the way through the seed or something like that, you had some options. Like you knew that the water vein wasn't grotto, but you also had a bunch of trees remaining. What was your decision making as far as like when you decided to go back to grotto to search for the water vein?
Did I have water vein that early? I thought I had sunstone early.
Well, you got the clue for the water vein early. But I'm curious.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm curious. You could have gone back to grotto, at any time after getting the clue. I'm curious why you went there when you did.
I don't remember having water vein that early, the clue. So I operated under that it was later. I thought the early clue was sunstone, so that's what I got in valley, and then I think I took 9 trees, and then I went for water vein. So if that's wrong, I must have been pretty confused. It was a fast seed, so maybe.
It happens. Do you have questions for Brynhold?
So yeah, what was your reaction when you saw that Sunstone was in Valley? Because Valley has a few pickups that are hard to get, like grenade locked or that need charge jump climb.
Yeah.
You didn't have climb by then, I
I
believe.
was thinking about that it are pretty many locked pickups in Valley, so that was one of the reasons why I wanted to check more random pickups for a little while. But I didn't found the grenade or anything, so I went there anyway. I didn't want to waste too much time.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I agree. So with that win, you're now 2-1. What's your practice like, Brynhold? I feel like a lot of us don't really know much about exactly how you practice.
I practice seeds. Basically, I went through some of the tricks section in the Discord the other day to check up on some of the new tricks, and I also learn a bit from watching the streams of other players or other matches, I mean. So yeah, it has been quite a few tricks that I didn't know at the start of this tournament. But
Yeah, there've been some cool new ones, I think.
Yeah,
like pretty recently actually.
That I didn't know about the green Baneling at the Mount Horror door. That you can just spam him with shots and stuff. I don't know how old the trick is, but
Well, it's one that rarely comes up, so I guess it's good that you know it if it comes up in your future races. And speaking of your future races, you must feel pretty good going 2-1, knowing that you only have to win one of your next 2 matches, right, to advance to brackets.
yeah, that feels really good. I was certainly pretty scared about this matchup because I looked at Gecko's earlier games and he looked really solid. So I think it was anyone's game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he knows a lot about Rando. So he's definitely a scary opponent. Congrats on getting the win.
Thanks.
I agree. Did you any final questions?
I'm okay.
Yeah.
No more questions.
Yeah, thanks for chatting with us, Brynhold.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. And good luck on future matches.
Same to you.
Yeah, well, while we were talking, Gecko made it to every single remaining skill tree, thus proving that, Gecko, as we said, is a very skilled rando player, even though he got randoed a little bit in this seed by specifically not finding dash. Yeah, so there's Gecko after getting climbed, teleporting back to the swamp teleporter, and he's going to be going to Mount Horu.
Yeah, he should have no problem with the escape with the skills he has.
I agree. It was very nice for me this seed, I think, to see that Gecko is able to pull off the quick Dorito cavern area, the quick reverse Frankie walk. There are so many specific weird tricks you have to know in Randomizer that don't always come up very frequently. That sometimes in seeds like this, where like you pretty much are forced to, you know, do the reverse Frankie walk using double bash. I was kind of worried for a moment if Gecko was going to be comfortable, but I'm very happy that he, you know, proved his knowledge.
Yeah, that was really impressive from him. Like, especially when you don't have dash, it's very hard to do sometimes. At least he had a bunch of HP and the defense, so that made it a lot easier for him.
Gecko, we'll wait till he finishes up, I suppose. Gecko is... I was going to make a comment about his record, but we'll just wait until he's done and then make that comment. Brynhold, when he got to Mount Horu, got a first try door warp, as I recall. We'll see if Gecko can do the same. He did. Very nice.
Also, I just saw a really good point in chat. He doesn't have charge flame or charge jump climb or storm to break the walls. And he doesn't have.
That's a very, very, very good point, actually.
So he has to use the new tech that Jay Halcyon found. We know he knows it since he did it a few times this seed already.
The downward. I don't know if there's a shortened name for it, but the trick where you bash downward off a grenade, right?
Exactly. We're going to see it now.
I love it. I love it, to be honest. If Gecko's going to go around to prevent spawning, that's also smart. If you can prevent Kuro from spawning here, it just makes this a little bit easier. Gecko's going to have to also do something tricky at the bottom of this, which is a damage boost into a charge jump, I think. That's the only way to break the wall with his current skill set. I'm impressed, to be honest. There's a minimum skill set that is required to finish this escape, and until recently, or until specifically that grenade trick was known, this would not have been possible for Gecko.
Yeah, this would not have been possible like a week ago.
Okay,
oh no,
he's spawn Kuro. Oh no! That's okay. It's just another opportunity to show off the new tech. I just think it looks really cool too. To perform this trick.
Oh no, just misses it. Bashed in the wrong direction.
So close. Well, he's almost there. Gecko did it once, means he can do it again. You have to break this thing in order to despawn Kuro. That's the trigger. This time Gecko isn't going to go over the top. He's just going to go underneath instead. Tried to quad jump up to the top and didn't quite make it, so Kuro might catch up to him here. No, he's okay.
That was very close.
It's very, very close.
He lost some HP, so he has to damage boost now, so I don't think he will have enough to get through the swim. They don't have clean water.
I don't think he will either. It looks like Gecko has health regen, so he might even be... he might even have the option to just wait. Well, not anymore, I think. Yeah, this, I think, is going to kill him. Yeah, he can't get through. Very, very close, though.
Yeah, he needed like half HP more, and he would have made it through.
At least as opposed to some of the final escapes we've seen this seed, like, Gecko has enough health to do it. It's not a common situation, but it does happen to runners where you hit the final escape and just didn't think through, like, oh crap, I forgot I need, you know, X amount of health to finish it with my current skill set.
Yeah, it's always very hard to know the exact amount of HP you need to be able to finish it. Since it always depends on like one skill. If you have Stomp, if you don't have Stomp, you have Bash, if you don't have Bash.
I think this is arguably the most interesting final escape that I've seen so far this tournament. Just because of the new tech. It's really, really fascinating to me. There we go. That time Kuro was properly despawned. Still doesn't have Feather, but was able to quad jump around, bashing off the boulders, and Gecko is out. GG. He'll be finishing up with something a little bit under 103, maybe about a 102.50-ish time, something like that, I think. I want to say it's approximately 1 minute and 20 seconds from when you escape if you don't do the grenade jump.
Yes, it's 1 minute and 20 seconds when you enter the final cutscene, like when you enter the trigger.
Yeah, great job by Gecko, though, to finish that out. Brynhold had a much easier time with his escape with both Charge Flame. Charge Flame, of course, was gated behind a plant, by the way, in Grotto, so that's why Gecko wasn't able to find it, not for lack of thoroughness, but for just lack of ability to break plants. It's a pretty troll spot for Charge Flame. That means that the intended way to break plants in this seed was to go all the way to the tip top of Ginso and get Grenade, and then come back down and get it.
Yeah, those seeds are always great. Fortunately, we have a way to sequence break it using dash.
Doing some Naru hops for funsies, finishing with a final time of 1:02.53. That loss is going to drop Gecko down to a 1-2 record. So whereas in the next two matches, and everyone is guaranteed, 5 matches in their Swiss set of matches, Brynhold, as we said, only needs to win 1 match to advance to brackets, whereas Gecko needs to win both matches. But Brynhold said that Gecko is a scary opponent, and I would agree based on what we saw today. Gecko pulled out some pretty advanced tech with quite a bit of confidence.
Yeah, getting it first try several times, it's really not easy to pull off. And it makes it look easy.
Well, I'm going to pull in Gecko right now, I think. Hey, Gecko.
Hello.
GG. Nicely done.
Thanks very much.
I want to just start immediately by asking about that. I still don't know if there's a good name for it, but the charge jump downward bash grenade trick. The one that you had to use to finish the final escape.
Oh, man. It took me so long to work out. Like, I actually was asking how to do it because I was trying it on so many places, and it was just like, hey, it's not working here. And there's like, yeah, it only kind of works pretty much in the final escape and in swamp in certain places. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah. It's a cool trick. I was very happy to see you use it. Clearly, you've been keeping up with the strats and everything, right?
Yeah, I saw that one.
So I want to ask about your routing. Like, what were you searching for most of the seed when you already had your dungeon keys, or like when was the point where you decided to enter true go mode?
I mean, when I honestly, I had problems pretty much all the way through. Like, I was sat there and I was like, glide would be nice, stomp would be nice, and then it was just like, when I found, obviously once I managed to get through Sorrow, and I knew I already knew that Sunstone was in Valley. I was like, okay, so it's got to be one of these early pickups, and it's either going to be Stomp. Or is Stomp gated. So I did think about maybe if it's grenade gated I might have had the advantage because grenade was at the top of Ginso tree. But then when I saw my opponent finish really early, I was like, okay, it's clearly not gated by anything crazy. So I was thinking, okay, if I've missed progression, then Stomp is likely going to be in swamp somewhere. And because I knew I was missing something because I sequence broke all of left side pretty much.
Yeah.
But it was as soon as I did Sorrow Pass, I was like, okay, I don't really need anything else because Misty's pretty trivial with what I had. And then it was just finding that last dungeon key.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. I have 2 more quick questions. Right at the very beginning of the game, you checked the first 2 pickups, and one of them was, I think, wall jump. I think the second one.
Yeah.
And you went straight into Black Root rather than checking the normal 2 pickups and fake flippers. Why did you decide to do that?
Honestly, I kind of find I thought, seeing as we got wall jump really early, by the time we got to Sign, I was like, okay, we have no keystones, so the chance of the next 2 pickups being 2 keystones were kind of low, I thought. So I just sort of thought, you know what, I'm just gonna gamble that they're not, that they're just either 2 keystones is
what I would have hoped for. And then like when I went back and it was like Mapstone Bash, I was like, okay, there was not really anything that would have sped up Blackroot for me, but Bash would have probably been one thing that would have.
Sure. Well, just one more thing. Are there any specific tricks you want to practice before your next race? Or just, do more seeds in general?
Probably just play a ton more seeds, because I had a few really bad deaths in that game. Like, I completely forgot we had Bash when I went down to the 4 energy door in Grotto, and it was like, if I had just remembered that I had Bash, I would have had Water Vein on my first path down there. And then it would have been like, I could have just gone straight to Ginso Tree from then.
Yeah. Cool. Well, GG. Sorry you got a little bit randoed, but GG, and good luck on your future races, and thanks for chatting with us.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, GG, Gecko.
So, Dedu, what do we have coming up next?
So the next match is going to be Ruse versus Muffin. Really exciting. 2-0 match. So they both won the first 2 matches, so it's going to be insane.
Yeah, that match is coming up at the hour, so that's 3 o'clock Eastern time on this same channel. So stick around, don't go anywhere, and you will have some more Ori to watch coming up shortly. There are 5 more matches today, the next one starting at the hour. Thank you to Nans and Tara for helping us truck this, and thanks to Dedu for commentary.
Thanks. It was fun. So just a quick thing. The stream will go offline just briefly, and it will go back up because we're changing restreamer. But you can stay here. The next match is going to be on Speed Gaming 2.
Yeah, thanks to Meldon for restreaming. I wasn't sure if he was continuing. We will see you all soon. Bye.